I remember a discussion that Shane had about Hurlbut about how he swaps out bodies midday because he sees that the camera does, even the 5 overheats to the point where he sees issues in the picture quality.
Yeah, that's a different issue. Well, it's a similar issue. I mean,
it's thermal related.
It's thermal related. I mean, most of the time I think of people with heating issues saying that it overheats and then it just shuts down. Whereas
I've actually had that happen with the 70 shooting in a dark, rock and roll situation, dark hot club.
I've heard, like I said, a lot more with the 7D than I ever have with the 5D. But the heating issue is definitely there. I just got an interesting article sent to me last night about somebody who's got a cooling system rigged up to their 5D Mark II, and I'm going to read. I didn't read it last night because it was kind of crazy. But
are they shooting out in the desert or shooting continuously?
It was a refrigeration. I think they were testing the sensor and how much digital noise comes in based on the temperature of the sensor. But I'll dig into that and we'll see if I'll post it next week. Here's one. Do you think it's better to get a 5D3 with 5 Zeiss CP2 lenses or the C300 with 124-70?
Send me your check, please. you have more money than you know what to do with. No, I'm just teasing.
More dollars than cents.
Ooh, that's a good one. More dollars than cents.
Oh, come on.
In terms of a serious question, I'd say the first. Anytime you can amass more quality glass, eventually the C300 won't be used. Eventually the 5D Mark III won't be used. And if you have good glass, you can use it again and again later on. So you're better off putting more money in glass than you are in a body, is a general rule of thumb, in my opinion.
Yeah. Amen. I still have a 10-year-old, L series 16-35 that I use all the time. Mm-hmm. I've used it on 4 different bodies.
That's a lovely lens.
It's a nice little guy. It's a good walk around lens.
Still coming up with questions, this chat room is. So.
That's good. Great.
They're good peoples.
It's amazing that we're able to answer all these questions without ever having owned a 5D Mark III.
I feel we haven't answered all of them.
I feel a little bit like Willy Wonka's, not Willy Wonka, Charlie Bucket's teacher. But how many Wonka bars have you bought? Do you guys plan on buying this camera? And if so, how many? How many Wonka bars have you?
Are you asking the chat room or us?
I'm asking, us and other people.
I have an order in.
You have an order in for one Wonka bar for you?
No,
one for me so far, and then I'll analyze if it's worth buying more.
Yeah.
In my situation, Chris, to be fair, that kind of works. I bought it because I feel like I need to have it and try it and use it because of the blog.
Right, you're doing the Leo Laporte thing. Yeah. I need to have one.
Right. So it wasn't pure. Although I will say, if I were a still shooter and I had lived with the 5D Mark II as long as I have, as soon as you start fooling with that autofocus that I played with in that conference room, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. So
I will tell you this, just because I'm a fan and Mitch has not asked me to do this. I think everybody owes a little donation to Mitch's kitty so he can buy this thing for us and tell us all about it, because we owe it to you anyway for all the hard work you do on your site.
Oh,
it's the greatest resource out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Send cash to Mitch. Hey, I was wondering how much I would have to say nice about you to have you put me in the big box. Yeah.
Just disregard what he said. Now that he's in the big box.
Darren wants to know.
Warn you, Mitch.
Yeah, I know. I'll put you in a big box. Darren wants to know in the chat room, is that a tax write-off for me? And I say, heck yes. It's a purchase for the business. Absolutely, it's a tax write-off.
Don't let me talk.
Go, Carl.
I was just going to say that the jury's still out for me as to whether or not I'll buy. I will not be an early adopter, but I rarely am an early adopter. I kind of take a wait and see attitude with it. Right now, I'm doing work with the 5D Mark II. It's doing the job. Yeah, it's got a lot of warts and stuff, but I can afford to just kind of take a wait and see attitude with it. That's not to discourage anyone from considering buying it or anything like that, but it's just the way, it's the way I operate my business. I have to wait and see. So I'm not an early adopter, but then I'm not a blogger about it either. I blog about my experiences, but it's not how I make my money. So I'm just going to take a wait and see attitude with it.
So I'm already, to answer the other answer to that is I'm already on a list. In fact, I was on a list before I went to California because I went to the local dealer and I said, look, I'm hearing rumors that there's going to be a camera come out, and I think it's going to be the 5D Mark III. Would you create the list for me and put me on the top? But it just made sense because I wanted to be able to have, like first in town if I can get it. So hey, I'm on the list.
And you're supporting your local camera shop, which there are precious few of those these days.
Yes.
Here in Atlanta, there's only one major camera dealer, and that's Showcase. And that's the only place you can go and actually get your hands on anything in the Atlanta metro area, which is a shame. That's a different topic. Sorry.
Oh, what's going on? The Rad Ball demo video has been taken down.
Really?
Sorry, this video does not exist on the Vimeo site. And I'm looking at a website. What is it? hdslrnews.planet5d.com. Hey, where's the donate button? Where's the PayPal donate button? So
if you can't find it there, there's one on my website.
Ooh, let's support Mitch. He's giving us all this great information.
I actually did have a donate button when I first started the blog before I was doing any advertising, and I had somebody actually donate.
Awesome. Well, let's put it back up, and let's all support Mitch and all the great work he's doing. I was so impressed with the video you guys put up last night. It was awesome. Great job.
Thank you so much. And to that response, I say just go click on one or two of the advertisers so they get some hits from me. That's where my money comes from. Or if you ever want to buy anything on Amazon, absolutely anything, go to planet5d.com/Amazon, and if you're buying diapers or whatever. All right, end of plug. So the next question is...
That was a message from our sponsor.
planet5d.com. What is the best reason to upgrade from a Mark II to a Mark III? More than one answer possible.
Moray.
Depends.
I think it's Moray.
Yeah.
For video, it's Moray without a question. But as Mitch said, if you're using video 90% plus, it's Moray. If you're more a 50-50 shooter, it's all about the stills upgrade.
Right.
So many more features,
right.
autofocus. So to me, those are the two jump points.
Any inclusion of false color or zebras in the software?
Ooh.
I think they said yes, didn't they?
I don't recall that.
I haven't read anything on that either.
So we did record the audio of the conversation with Chuck Westfall as he droned on. He went through the presentation. I'm sorry.
No
Chuck.
No 5D Mark IV for you next year. 3 years from now.
And the other side of that, which somebody just tweeted, by the way, by the way, the 5D Mark II is going to come down in price to the tune of probably about $300. So if you're buying new, that makes it an even bigger gap that we didn't talk about. So I went through the audio recording again, and I've been through it almost twice now, and I don't recall anything about zebras in video.
Maybe I was being optimistic, but I thought they mentioned something about that, but we'll double check.
Sorry, I don't know that.
I can tell you now that over the last 5 minutes, I believe I've clicked on every one of your ads.
Thank you.
Oh, I found a new one. Roadmap. Buy one.
Somebody in the chat room said after I went through that little Amazon thing, we will need to buy diapers after that sales pitch.
I don't know. That doesn't sound good.
How is the signal noise from the external sound input? Signal noise from an external mic. As far as I know, it's the same, but we didn't discuss it. And I saw somebody else ask on Twitter, is the audio gain control gone? Speaking of audio, and I don't think there was no mention of that. Obviously, the 5D Mark II had the ability to turn that on and off. So why would they get rid of it?
Oh, you mean the auto gain?
Right.
Oh,
Why eliminate it altogether? Why not at least have it as an option if somebody really wants to have it turned on?
Yeah, if they have audio meters that are adjustable, it has to have manual gain control.
Right.
It would be astonishing if it didn't.
So maybe that would be a reason to just eliminate.
You don't want auto gain anyway. To me, if that's gone, that would be a blessing.
Okay. You convinced me. So yes, it's gone. I don't know.
I don't know if it's gone or not. We just decided we're not going to use it if it is there.
Oh, mercy. When do we expect to see the first Cinema EOS DSLR?
I asked Canon that question last week, and they said, well, first of all, we haven't really announced it yet. I said, well, there's been a lot of press about it. I thought it came from you guys.
Wait, what are we announcing?
The Cinema EOS DSLR. Now, they did announce it.
They say it's coming. Maybe there's something there.
They said officially it was not an announcement. It was just they were talking about future concepts that they were working on.
Okay. Very interesting that they said that, because I got to think that that cuts into sales. That's like a Jeffrey Osborne, Osborne 2 mistake. I'm dating myself. I'm going way back.
Hey, I remember him.
Yeah. The Osborne, if people don't know, the Osborne Portable was the first portable computer. It actually had a 3-inch CRT screen. It was about the size of a sewing machine. And if you laid it on its side and fold the bottom down, that's your keyboard. And then it had a CRT. And when Osborne was touring, showing off the Osborne 1, it was like, oh, it's really great. And they actually let him in front of an audience.
Chris, you're on a tangent.
I know.
Thank you, Carl. Slap him around.
But he mentioned, the point is, he mentioned something to come, and he killed the company. and the point being is, it's really odd that they mention the Cinema DSLR, because without that mention, I would already have my order in for 2 of these. But I know that that's coming, so now I'm like, I don't know how much I want to wait, is my point. Sorry, it took me a little bit too long to get there.
In the chat room, Hert, I don't know which question. Did I miss it? He said he has a question that I haven't asked yet, and I've missed it somewhere. Host Duplex Sam. Now I have to give a shout out to Sam. I notice he's just joined our chat room. I'm hosted on Host Duplex, and let me tell you, if you're ever looking for a hosting solution, talk to Sam at Host Duplex, because this guy rocks. He has busted his ass since yesterday afternoon getting me set up to handle the massive traffic. And it's just, I get goosebumps thinking about, because I just flash off an email, and within 5 minutes, Sam's replying, well, I'm fixing that. There was a hacker that hit me this afternoon, and he had it fixed within 30 seconds. So
wow.
I am totally
indebted.
It's not like the $20 a month hosting service that I had before, where you'd send in an email and you'd pray that you'd get an answer within 48 hours. I'm obviously paying more per month than that, but this guy rocks.
I think Host Duplex Sam should sponsor your broadcast here.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks.
I would totally move all my websites to Host Duplex Sam if he were a sponsor. Totally.
Gosh, Carl. Chris, I'm going to owe you lots of money. So
that's my goal, is to have people owe me money.
I just asked that question, Hert. What is the best reason to upgrade from a 5D Mark II to a 5D Mark III? I asked that question, didn't I? Didn't you guys answer that question?
I think we commented on that question.
Yeah, we commented on it.
Yeah.
He was so busy gathering questions.
We can comment again if you want.
I think this is a 3-minute delay.
Oh, so much fun, guys. We've been at it almost an hour and a half.
Hey, I have a question for you
Yes.
guys, and I'm letting my guard down here and letting you know how something I don't understand. So, who knows more about the what is it? What do they call it? The all or I?
All I and IPB.
Yeah. So, explain that to me.
From what I understand, and I could be wrong, the IPB is a more compressed image, so that it fits in a small, it's a smaller wrapper, so it's just more compressed than the all I.
And they're both H.264 though, or is one
H.264 is the wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
okay?
And then all I and IPB are the methods in which the compression takes place. So it's looking at each individual frame. So all I says every frame is going to be captured. IPB is a GOP.
Every
based,
frame is a keyframe.
Yes.
I think is the way to say
right.
it. Yeah.
So GOP, it means it's going to guess. It's going to take this frame and then all the, I don't know how many frames it looks ahead, but let's say, 5 frames, 6 frames, is looking ahead and it's going to guess or interpolate what that data is going to be. So that results in a really compressed file, but it makes it very hard to edit.
Wow, when you have a big answer like that, he put you in the big box. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Just trying to liven things up a little. Okay.
Just never get in the big box anymore.
Gosh.
So there's another little tidbit that we haven't touched on, and this is something I just read probably on the Twitters the other day. But I think just this week, the powers that be or whatever that decide these things have approved the standards for H.265.
Right.
And that's going to give us 4K and I think even 8K capability in an H.264 compression. And that could be a real key thing toward these future cameras that, we've alluded to. Because I actually ran into this recently where I actually found the physical limitation of the H.264 size because I was editing one of my giant screen things that I do. And I couldn't, the producer was asking for a single file that was, I think it was like 4,000 pixels wide, and H.264 can't do that. So that could be a cool add, a piece to the puzzle, let's say, that's going to allow this stuff to move forward.
So are you saying that H.264 can't do 4K?
Correct. You cannot do an image that is 4,000 pixels wide in H.264.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I could be wrong about that, but I think the limitation is something like 3,300 or 3,350 or 3,500. I'm sure we could find that out in the Book of Knowledge real quick.
The Book of Knowledge.
So I'll throw out 2 questions if Chris is throwing his out. Is there anybody out there that is at all excited, or am I just the only nerd that thinks the adding of the ability to change the first 4 characters if you're shooting with multiple cameras? I'm excited, but nobody's talking about it. So either I'm just really loserish, or
Here's
there's a silent.
It's a very cool feature, but what will end up happening 90% of the time is all your media will still come back with either the default 4 characters or the 4 characters of the last shoot that you personally were on with that camera.
Makes sense.
Because that stuff gets overlooked in the field, I think. I think some people will be all over it, but I think a lot of times it'll get overlooked. My personal workflow is to rename every file that comes into the house anyway, so it's not that big of a deal to me. As long as you put your files in a folder marked, card 3 or card 7 or whatever, I'm okay.
And the other question I'll throw out there is since I my background was originally in film, so we just had 24 individual frames and didn't get into the time code stuff as much. What I guess, Chris, especially for you, are the time code functionality something that you're overly excited about, or has the workflow been fine as it is, and it's not really going to benefit you that much?
Yeah, I think it along the same lines as we've for the last 3 years now we have figured out to work around these limitations. I have yet to figure out how this added feature will work back into my my workflow. But yeah, I mean, time code's important, and unique time code is vital. It was kind of cool there for a while. We saw some of the people, writing apps that would make us pretend time code. And, I mean, we've kind of worked in our workflow here, we've kind of gotten around that. And one of the most important things that we do that a lot of, I think, in doing corporate videos, every project that we do, every interview that we ever shoot has to go out. We have to make window dubs of them and go out to transcription so that our clients can sift through the content and pick the sound bites that they want to use. And we've actually come up with a workflow that allows us to do that and get a time code that is unique that we can fake back into our footage. And it's not perfect, but it works for us. And if that makes it better, absolutely.
So silly novice kind of question to you, Chris. With the facility in Final Cut Pro 10 that I've just learned how to use with the multicam thing,
yep,
doesn't that sort of eliminate the need for a time code?
Well, time code gets used for many different things. In that regard, time code is used for syncing, provided, of course, you have the facilities to have a master timecode generator that you can DA and send to all the cameras. These cameras don't allow us to plug in an external timecode. In broadcast television, that's a standard thing to be able to do. If you're ISOing a bunch of cameras, every deck has the same timecode being sent to it from a master timecode generator. That's only one thing that timecode allows you to do. The thing that I deal with most often is, like I said, given an interview situation, I need to be able to send a window dub to the transcription people. They are going to listen to it and type it all out, click, 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 and then they're going to send me back a Word document that has 2 columns. First column over here has all the words. The other column, every paragraph, has a new timecode number. And
Okay.
that way, my clients can look at those documents and they go, oh, this is a great statement. And they highlight it, and then they highlight something else, and they highlight something else. And then they send me these documents that I then say, oh, they want these words from this paragraph.
Awesome.
So then I'd go and I type in, go to 5 minutes, 13 seconds, 12 frames, click, and then search around just in that area. And it allows me to find my sound bites quicker.
Ah, brilliant.
That is a very standard workflow. I've been doing it for, a long, long time. And a good transcription house is a very powerful asset to have. It's something you have to be able to do. And with the way we do stuff on the web now, it's very easy to do. I just literally post a little tiny QuickTime movie with a timecode burn in it, and they suck it down off the interwebs and then mail me a file. So they can be any place.
Wow. I had no clue.
Yeah, it's very common. I do it all the time. All the time. Every video I work on, we do that.
And in fact, I'm sorry, Carl, you going to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the maximum file size for H.264. If it's on the internet, it's true, right? So I'm looking at
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Wikipedia there, and one. I think the maximum size supported is 4,096 by 2,304 pixels. So, but it probably depends on who is implementing the H.264 codec. So different manufacturers do different things with that file.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was trying to find it too. I know that the file that I was dealing with was 8,306 pixels wide.
Yeah, you were doing those huge displays for trade shows.
I believe that was for a BMW show.
Yeah,
giant screens. And by the way, if you ever need to do that, give me a call. I'm getting really, I know the process really well.
It may be the first real use case for 4K.
Yeah, and literally we were doing 8K. I mean, it wasn't 16 by 9 8K, but it was 8306. Sorry, I remember that number, by 1080. It was like a Band-Aid across the front of the hall. Big, long, skinny screen.
All right, sorry for the diversion there, Mitch.
Well, that ended that show. Thank you very much, Carl.
Didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer here.
So Johnny D just jumped into the chat room and wants to know what the big announcement from Canon is.
New batteries. New shoulder straps.
I'm picking on you, Johnny.
We're all buying.
He says he's from Australia and it's 7:30 in the morning, so he's just waking up to not knowing what's going on.
I wish I was waking up in Australia about now.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm kind of surprised we seem to have drained the chat room from questions. I'm just totally shocked.
We've drained the life out of them.
Sucked the life right out of them by all those jokes by chrisfenwick.com.
Yep, it happens. I got a great... Did anybody see this tweet that I got this morning from somebody? Saying something... you talk, I'll find.
Johnny in the chat room... there is an official press release from Canon about the 5D Mark III, and you can find it on planet5d.com/5D3.
Yeah, the guy said, Mrs. MR Vito, love hearing your sarcastic, somewhat cynical views expressed on the podcast. I said, somewhat cynical? I'm offended. I'm going for full-scale cynical.
He said your banter is priceless, and that's why I said I don't pay you.
What? I just thought the check was slow.
We do this for love.
All right, questions are rolling in. What hair product is very used?
Oh, stop.
I didn't make that up. It's right there in the chat room.
Chris and I share. We invested in the same company. So,
Hey, Mitch, Herman's got a good question.
Yes. Do you guys think more Hollywood caliber films are going to be shot like the Shane Hurlbut's Act of Valor with DSLRs? Boy, don't answer all at once.
No, I think it's specific to the thing. I mean, for years, people have used what they call crash cams, little tiny film cameras that they can put in a box. And Shane very successfully showed how you could take a little tiny Pelican and put a 5D in it, cut a hole. And I think that Shane used it. I think the difference is that Shane used the size of the 5D to put you into an immersive environment that was not possible with something else. And it will, filmmakers have toolboxes, so to speak. And when the right tool presents itself, or the right need presents itself for the tool, absolutely, it'll get used. Shane was just the first one to do it.
Right.
I mean, he looked at it. He tells the story all the time. He takes the lens off, looks at the sensor. He's like, good grief, this is serious business.
He's so funny. I love sitting and talking to him. Barry and I got to have lunch with him in California. It's just insane listening to his stories.
Yeah. It's also interesting cutting them.
Yes, Carl.
Well, he says Hollywood caliber films, and I don't know that that's so dependent upon the camera itself, but yeah, I think you'll see more people trying to do a Hollywood caliber film and trying to enter, into film contests like Sundance, and I forgot the name of the one that's out in Germany right now that's really big. I think people are going to try, and the reason they're going to try it with HDSLR is they don't have the budget for the C300 or the Reds or the Aries. I would think there's going to be more people doing it, but I just, if you had the money, would you do it with the HDSLR? And I'm curious whether or not Shane would choose to use an HDSLR again for those POV shots or not. Would he use the C300 or some other camera, or even I don't know, something else that's out.
I'll do something dangerous and speak on behalf of Shane, but absolutely he would use it again.
Yeah, I'd agree with that after listening to him talk last Saturday.
And so why would he do that? And I'm not trying to be critical. I just wondering. I'd like to know what his thinking process is on that.
Well, they just got a film up on a 3,000 screen release back when nobody even knew anything about the camera.
Yeah, it was a box office hit there. Yeah.
So, but just saying, if before you knew what to do with the camera, could hold up, 4 years later, the stuff we know now and the improvements make it even that much better. So I think the ultimate thing is you get this beautiful image off of a really small camera, and as a filmmaker tool, it's just an indispensable piece to have on set. So I definitely think he will continue using them, and he'll own a 5D Mark II and he'll own a Mark III and he'll have them on set and they will use them.
Yeah.
Will he necessarily use it as a 100% of filming? No. I'm sure there are some projects he will, but I think it's going to be for him.
Yeah. I have a question that you guys might know, having had lunch or dinner or whatever with Shane. Did anybody see the footage that got posted on the Twitters of the SEAL dude parachuting down into the premiere?
Yes.
They had a POV shot. Did anybody see that shot?
Yes, it was on planet5d.com.
That's probably where I saw it. So, was that? Do we know what camera that was? Was that just a GoPro, or was Shane involved in that at all?
No, it was a GoPro. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry. What?
Well, did you see the guy that was doing the skin suit, one of the wing suit that crashed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was GoPro. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all GoPro. Thank goodness. But
thank goodness he lived, man.
Yeah.
He lived.
Yeah.
What did he crash into?
His
hit
feet.
The side of the
His feet hit the edge of a rock, so he was flying along, and his foot caught the edge of it, and he broke his ankle and stuff. And he tumbled and managed to pull the parachute.
Are you kidding?
No,
Link me.
Yeah,
I want to see this.
It's awesome.
I mean, it's brutal.
Because he had 8 or 10 GoPros. He had one on the helmet, one pointing backwards, and so they showed every angle.
He's just basically a flying human squirrel is what he is. So he's probably going 200-300 miles per hour.
It's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
I'll jump back. I'll throw in my 2 cents worth there in the the Hollywood style. Is I think that absolutely more and more, the smaller budgets indies will be using these. I think they already are. I think it's already pervasive because of the fact that you can own multiple cameras and lenses and shoot for a longer period of time, really working with actors, take time in between locations. So if you're trying to milk a budget, there is nothing out there that produces like these cameras.
Right.
So, if you get someone to give you a lot of money and you have to shoot really quick, sometimes these help, sometimes you want to use something else. But I think that these are around to stay for years to come.
Well, especially, I think, I was on the set of Moonring last year, which I've never really blogged about, but, this guy that was doing an independent movie, and he hired 3 camera guys. They had, it was Bruce Dorn was the director of photography, but their key was they were going to shoot it fast, so they were going to have 3 cameras, and they shot every scene with 3 different cameras and 3 different angles, instead of having to do the 3 setups to get each angle and force the actors to go through it. So they cut their shooting time way down. Now, the point there was, if he was going to use C300s, he'd have to spend $40,000, $50,000 just to get those cameras, whereas you can get 3 of those for the price of one C300 and go make your movie. So it gives you that option too as well that was never there before, or isn't there even right now.
I would like to hear him talk more about the lighting too, because a lot of times when you tell lighting people that you're going to shoot multiple angles, it slows down your lighting because.
Yeah, that's true.
That
was the longest part of the setup, was getting the lighting right.
Well, most of the problem is if you're going to shoot from 3 different angles on a shot, usually the problem happens where on a regular shoot, when you're shooting one, you shoot like a master shot. Then you come in and you kind of tweak the lighting to match what you want, and you change lighting in between each set. So if you're going to shoot 3 cameras, all different angles, you either have to shoot like a sitcom where everything's from above and weird, and it may not look quite as cinematic. Or if you're really going to take the time to light it cinematic and use practicals, it will be a painstakingly slow thing to make sure that all the lighting and all of the marks that your actors have to hit throughout the scene can work. And sometimes it's not actually faster. So it depending on your project, it can be faster. It might not be, or you might sacrifice some lighting quality, having to light like a sitcom.
Okay, we got a couple of more questions now. And I'm not quite sure I understand this one, so I apologize if we have to kind of go back, but maybe you guys understand this. What's the maximum water exposure that the 5D3 can get?
I think it goes down to 15 feet. But don't quote me on that.
Chris, you are the fastest guy for comebacks that I have ever met.
No, it is absolutely not waterproof. I think the point is that a little bit of mist is not going to kill it.
Oh, that
Don't
kind
quote
of water,
me on that.
water
Do not
exposure.
quote me on that.
Oh, I was like trying to
I
figure
think,
out what
Mitch, you need to do a blog post. Waterproof to 15 meters.
I said feet,
Chris
not
Fenwick
meters.
said
That's
so.
a big difference.
Go to chrisfenwick.com and find out. Chat room goes blub, blub, blub.
Yeah,
I'm going to go test it right now.
take a bath.
Yeah.
Well, so the answer is the 5D Mark II is water and dust resistant,
And it doesn't do bad with that.
and the 1DX is water and dust sealed, and the 5D Mark III fits somewhere in between there. That was the answer we got.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better than the 5D2, but it's not as good as the 1DX. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of exposure, what kind of aperture is he going to tell? I don't know. Okay, water exposure. Got it.
It's a good question, though, because I've had to shoot out in the rain and in damp conditions many times. So, but the 5D Mark II has held up pretty good under those circumstances. I wouldn't leave it out in the rain, and I certainly wouldn't dunk it in 15 feet of water. And I do have to get the sensor cleaned.
And I lost the video from Chris, and Barry's frozen in a pose like this. But the other issue there, while hopefully they reconnect, the other issue there is you got to consider the lenses as well. Because I had a lens that I took into a water situation, and the camera worked fine, and the lens is a loss. So
Was it L glass?
No. It was it was a Tamron at the time.
Yeah.
I don't. Is L glass supposedly water resistant? I mean, I've never really looked, to be honest.
It's my understanding that it is.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Mitch, or just not see me?
I can hear you now. I didn't know you were still there.
I'm still here. I disconnected and reconnected my video, and I can see myself, but it doesn't seem to be coming through on your end.
No, all I got is a little Barry icon. That's a classic icon. Who made that for you?
I think Scott Citron in New York, a friend of mine, made it.
See, I need to have one of those, but I don't run my fingers through my hair all the time, and it's too short. It'd be all forehead is what the picture would be, just like Chris.
Canon says the L. I'm going to try to bring back some seriousness to this conversation here. But according to Canon, the L series are water resistant.
Awesome. Well, that doesn't work very well. And Chris Fenwick said, no, I'm not going to show that. All right. The secret typing behind the scenes. See, let's see. Do you guys have any ideas how many stops of dynamic range the 5D Mark III will give in video? We kind of talked about dynamic range earlier.
There's no published numbers on that.
Right.
Now, Canon did say on the C300 that it has 12 stops.
Yes. And I think Paul Antico told me that he thought it was 12 and a half or 13.
Yeah.
Who sent me that?
That's me.
You? Well, your video's working, Barry.
Oh, it is now?
Okay. There's Chris. Chris is back too.
I think Chris and I are crossing streams. Anybody remember Ghostbusters? I think bad things are about to happen.
I'm not afraid of no ghosts.
See, he's fast. He's just flat out fast. I think we sort of answered this question. Will the DSLR market keep growing in film, or will the C series take over? I think we really answered that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Here's a good one. How does the HDR mode work in the 5D Mark III? Barry, do you remember?
Well, that's when you were playing with the camera and had me taking furious notes. So I think you could take 3. I think you can bracket it for 3 shots internally to take it, and then you can either. There was a couple presets like a like a looks package where you could pre-select or leave it as into Photoshop or Lightroom and do your tweaking there. But they had a couple that just did in-camera processing for you, and then some that were done that you can tweak more in post.
There are 5 different settings for the HDR mode. There's normal, and what did he say? Do you remember what he called them?
They were weird names. It was kind of like a super saturated, kind of a desaturated, kind of a normal.
So they're
look.
Basically HDR tone mapping presets, is what they are. Yeah,
right. And
called Radcliffe.
But I was not. I was not able to write down each of Canon's names for them. No.
He called one of them small, medium, and large, or something. I mean, the middle 3 were just the same thing, just different severity.
So what I'd like to know is how does that work? So it's like auto exposure bracketing, and then it does a merge. Does it create just one image from that series, or does it save the 3 and then create a merged image on the card?
Yes, you can have it set up to do either way. It was an either or. I think he said you can have it do the merging for you and come up with an image, or you can say I want all the. I think he said it did both, now that I think about it. I think he said you could have it do the merged image and also optionally give you the 3 images that you could go play with in Photoshop or wherever.
Okay.
But it is 5 pre-baked styles, like picture styles, but they're all HDR.
I'm having a hard time getting really excited over that particular feature because I would still want to do most of the HDR processing and compositing on my computer as opposed in camera.
I do it on my iPhone.
Well, I do it on the iPhone too, but it doesn't always, I know. It doesn't always work well. I mean, sometimes it does well, and that's good. But
I would imagine that the in-camera merging is really just so you can get an idea of it. Doesn't it still save the images so you can go diddle them at home?
It's an option.
You can, but I think it's also for people like if you're at a wedding or something like that and you need to hand off files and you don't want to bring it back. I mean, I think there's a use for using the baked-in styles and not going back and using them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you guys are power users. I think there's a lot of people out there that these files get big, they get unwieldy. If there's some quick ways to get out, I think it's nice for a lot of users. But
so you're saying there's a lot of like casual amateur users that are going to go spend $3,500 on this camera?
Sure.
Yes. Haven't you ever been to these shows? There's people that walk around and they think just because they buy a camera they're a photographer, but then they
Wait.
I'm just saying there is a group of people that don't want to get into the nitty gritty and learn every step of the process and spend all the.
Well, they had those features. I'm sorry, you disappeared again, Barry. But
what?
Well, you're there now, and it's sort of in and out, and Chris's audio's really bad, but.
See? Across the streams.
The T3i certainly has those features where it can do the miniature tilt shift and all that kind of stuff, but that didn't come forward to the Pro camera. But the other part of that, Carl, is that they actually put the HDR feature in the 1DX, so they've just brought it down because it's the same processor.
Oh yeah, I have one of those too.
That's permanently in the bathtub because it's waterproof.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we think that one of my clients, I was at a client's office a couple weeks ago, and 2 of them actually chimed in. They go, "Oh, look, we got new cameras," and they bought the 60D or D60, whatever, with the tilt swivel lens thing. Do we think they didn't put that on for durability, or did it just feel too consumer? the tilt swivel back.
The articulated LCD.
That's what I meant to say exactly.
Yes.
Those were the
Yeah,
words
I would have to say, I mean, not talking to the engineers, I don't know, but I would think that was a big factor, is just the durability, weather sealing the product.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched digitalrev.tv. The guy from Taiwan or wherever he's from, he always calls it the tilty swivelly bit. I think that's funny.
Because I would have liked to have had that, but
Yeah, I really honestly thought it was going to be on every camera
Yeah.
that Canon came out with, and
Nope.
color me blown away because the 1DX didn't have it, and I thought, okay, well, that's a pro camera, so of course it's not going to have it because of the sealing issue. But so lo and behold, I was surprised. I didn't know everything.
oh no, somebody just said too late on crossing the streams. Chris lost all his hair.
Apparently, I lost it to Barry.
oh, my word!
I don't know how you. I mean, how do you drive a convertible? How do you get that in the car?
No, that's a good point. But I'd like to officially apologize to everyone who's still in the chat that have to listen to our digressions.
Hey,
We're trying to
terrible.
relate information to you, but I think we just keep getting caught up in.
That's
in
what
the
makes
fact
us
that-
us, Barry. Come on. Digital in Hong
I do
Kong.
like this question. I wished I knew the answer to it. Does the 5D3 do remote start video recording wirelessly?
No.
Question.
It doesn't. Bummer.
Well, and I apologize because I do not understand all of the intricacies. But if you buy the wireless hookup, I mean, there's the external, the WT, blah blah blah, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
You can attach that, and you can control the 5D Mark III just like you can if you plug in with the 1DX. You can control it from an iPad if you want. So yes, you can, but you have to buy the external WT blah 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 part number, which was also announced yesterday.
Don't
They've
you
got
have to
new
have a
one.
computer in between that link?
No, you do not have to be cabled USB wise. The WT whatever the part number is that was announced this morning.
WTF 2000.
Yes, right. That because I've seen, like I've had blog posts on planet5d.com where they've taken that wireless device, like the one guy that was doing the shuttle photography, and he put the camera, on the close to the pad and controlled the 5D Mark II wirelessly with his iPad because he had that thing attached.
Well,
So
that's
yes, you can do it, but you have to have the extra bits.
Gotcha.
And I get a big kick out of Chuck Westfall because I've seen him talk about that, and when the Nikon D4 was announced, there was this big splash about how you can control it wirelessly with their little attachment with an iPad, and Chuck's like, we've been doing that for 5 years. It's one of those no-brainer things that Canon doesn't even think to talk about. Because
well, yeah,
they've been
that's
doing
not
it
an
so long.
engineering problem. That's a marketing problem.
Right. But, so everybody was all in a dither about the Nikon, but Canon's been doing it.
When you got to talk with the Canon dude, what's his name, Westfall?
Yeah.
Did the discussion of geotagging ever come up?
That was one of the questions that I was going to ask, and we did not have enough time. I mean, we were there. We extended them by about a half an hour, and
Yeah.
Scott was standing there going, well, I'm supposed to be at my son's baseball practice, and we were
Wham,
going,
sit down and answer.
yeah. And I teased earlier in this little broadcast about how Chuck Westfall was droning on and on. I kept wanting to get to, hey, can we film this thing and make the report while he's going through the accessories and going through all of that kind of stuff. But that was one of the questions I was going to ask that I didn't want to ask because I wanted to do the filming. But why they don't do either geotagging or time lapse. Now, geotagging requires an extra part, because you got to talk to the satellites. But why aren't they even putting the intervalometer in there? Because it's, like Carl said earlier, it's just
Yeah.
a software thing. That seems like a no-brainer. Nikon does it. Why doesn't Canon do it?
They're calling it the GPE2 GPS unit. How much is that thing going to cost?
Yeah, it's an extra bit, and I guess that's why they do it, because they want to make a little extra money.
maybe.
Yeah, it looks like it fits in the hot shoe of the camera.
Right. I keep saying, look, this does GPS tagging in my photos. Why can't you? But I was told, by the way, somebody told me, well, look, Mitch, the phone has to be built that way because it has to have the location stuff in it for the cell phone service and everything else. They don't have to put it in. I mean, that's just extra engineering that they got to squeeze in that body somewhere.
It doesn't have to have GPS to be able to make a phone call. It just looks for the nearest antenna.
I know, but moving back to the chat room for Barry. Do you guys have any? Oh, we answered that. Is there a crop mode in video that allows you to use APS-C lenses without vignetting? No, I don't. You can't even attach an APS-C lens.
No. That really goes back to some of our original statements about it's always good to invest in good glass.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can use those, bitchin' lenses with the red stripe on your smaller cameras too. Remember. Does that make sense?
Now, the thing that I did like about the Nikon, to be a devil's advocate, the Nikon D4, and I don't think the D800 does this, but the Nikon D4 has some sort of, well, the T3i does to some degree too, because it has that zoom feature in it. But the Nikon D4 will allow you to flip a switch and be at 1.5 crop and then a 2.7 crop, so you can really extend your lenses that way. Now, obviously, we haven't seen it live. We don't know how well it works, but they were doing it. My understanding of the Nikon is that with the 5D Mark II, for example, they're taking the full sensor and extracting the 1080 video off of that. With the Nikon, what they were going to do was not take the full sensor, but take two small segments out of the middle of that sensor in order to pull the 1080, which effectively gave you the 1.5 and the 2.7 crop factors. That make sense?
Yeah.
Good. I said it right. So, again, that's just sort of another software feature, I think, that they could have implemented, but they chose not to. How you guys doing out there? None of you guys have taken a drink of water yet.
Oh, I just finished up my LaCroix.
I got mine. Oh, there you go.
There we go. I gave up caffeine 6 months ago, and this is what I've been drinking since.
What is it?
LaCroix. It's mineral water. I got addicted to. See, that's another addiction. I got rid of caffeine, but I still like the mineral water. So,
are you sure there's no caffeine in it?
Yeah, it's done. There's no sodium, nothing. Just bubbly water. When I went to Italy, I got hooked on it.
There's no fat. It's fat-free yogurt, Jerry.
Are you guys hearing Chris the same muted audio that I am?
Yeah, his bandwidth is really limited.
Okay. What's the best place to pre-order the 5D Mark III? B&H, Adorama, or Amazon?
Nobody knows. There is no public knowledge as to how Canon distributes the cameras, who gets them. It's just wildly assumed they send them out to multiple camera shops all at the same time. So I guess it depends on whatever camera shop is closest to the hub where the cameras are coming from.
And we've definitely tried to pursue that question with Canon, and the only answer I've gotten is what Barry just said.
But the rumor mill is saying that they will ship by the end of this month.
Well, that's what Canon said. Mm-hmm. The rumor mill, I'll put it this way, has said that they have heard that there is a large allotment coming well before the end of March, whereas unlike the 5D Mark II announcement and release, people were scrambling for months to try to find one. Mm-hmm. So that, assuming that is true, I think that's good news, because people.
Yeah.
Although that won't be so good for me because nobody will be buying through my links, even though I posted them.
I clicked on every one of your links.
Yeah, but you got to go to Amazon, planet5d.com/Amazon and buy. Can the LCD do any type of cinema letterboxing when shooting for film? As a matter of fact, it does, but not. The question was asked about 235. I can't say that right. 2x35.
235.
235. Thank you. What we were told is that it will do a square truncation on the LCD. It will do a 4x3 truncation on the LCD, and it will do a 16:9 truncation. 235 isn't one of those three, so. Boom. Bye, Barry.
Barry just fell.
Did he fall
His hair
off?
got too heavy.
He did the 5D Mark III drop test.
Oh, my hair. He knows what it is. My hair is getting heavy.
I'm going to give someone a little hint. If you want to set up a 2:35 aspect ratio,
read Barry's book, which is also called.
So you see the white box.
Yeah.
Ooh, pointer.
If you take the white box and put see if my
Brain
motor skills are okay. Put a piece of tape here so that it doesn't go below the bottom of the white line. Then go ahead and move your box down to the bottom. And put a piece of, whatever, black tape, whatever, at the top of the box. In between that area, between those two lines, then becomes your 2:35 aspect ratio.
Wow, Barry.
It's a good way to cheat and
that is
shoot.
An awesome
even if
tip.
it's not built in.
That can't be accurate.
Hey, if Chris Fenwick said, if Barry says it must be true.
Barry has written way more books than me.
He's written one, yeah. The
It
DSLR film.
may not be pixel accurate, but it's pretty
good guide.
pretty good close guide. So that would be my recommendation.
If you want to buy Barry's book, go to planet5d.com/Barry, and that will take you straight to Amazon, where you can purchase the book, and I will get $50.
This is downward spiraling.
/Barry. planet5d.com/Barry. Barry.
Dave Dugdale says my rep says the end of the month shipment for the Canon 5D Mark III. Thank you, Dave.
I have a question for the chat room. Is Dave going to buy a 5D Mark III? Because he's been the T3.
Yeah,
he doesn't use a 5D.
He did a good video on the reasons what he was hoping would be in the 5D Mark III.
Yeah, but he's been using the T2i or T3i, right? He's not.
T2.
T3.
I'm curious as to see whether
Is it
or not
3? Okay.
he makes the jump to the 5D.
No, there are no coupon codes for Amazon. Somebody asked it. Dave, we're waiting for you to give us an answer. Now, there's a delay sometimes on Ustream. So
Yeah.
it's like pulling teeth. Hert is doing a great job of gathering the questions, and there are no more questions.
Cool.
So there are no coupon codes on Amazon. But you can go to planet5d.com/Amazon and buy diapers if you want. One more, CBK says. Well, type it in quickly before I let all these guys go. We are at 2 hours now. Holy cow.
I do have one question.
Yes?
While we're waiting on his question is, did you talk about, or did they talk about this so-called multi-exposure feature?
Sure. Do you want to know about that?
I don't understand why they would bother with it.
Because it's a heavily demanded feature.
They can't be. Are there really that many dumb people out there that want to do that? Do compositing on a little 3-inch LCD
Carl,
camera?
you're starting to sound like me. Wow.
I don't get it. Why would you do multi-exposure in camera when you can just composite the stuff?
Let's do this again sometimes. This is fun.
This is when you see me get riled up.
I think Mitch will get all of his computers working, and Carl will show up with his keyboard, and Barry and his hair. And this is fun. We got to do this more often.
This is the Fab Four.
This is very much like the Digital Convergence podcast, which airs on Wednesdays afternoons on iTunes near you.
I want to cut another Barry movie. Let's cut some movies, Barry.
Let's do it, man.
Okay.
Oh, I love the shark.
Save us a day, would you? To answer your question, Carl, let's not forget that
Yeah.
Carl asked this very vital
That's
question.
right. I want to know why.
Oh, and Harriet wants his money now for doing all this chat room work. I don't know who actually wants this, but they do have it set up for up to 9 exposures. And it works just like the HDR thing we were talking about. You know, you can combine 3 things and you can look at them on the LCD and decide whether you like it. And it's just like picture styles, and you can pick from product X or product Y and say, yeah, that's the combination I want. There's additive and multiplicative, and it's just something to make life easy on some people who are lazy.
I have a confession to make.
Oh.
Canon called me up and said you can have one new feature in the new camera, and that's the one I picked. So I thought there was more people that wanted it. So I think I maybe should have picked the RAW out.
I think.
So I maybe
Yeah.
but I thought that one was a winner.
For the very uncomfortable XLR inputs that will barely get used on the hand grip.
No, I had to come up with that one. I think I would have pushed for that, Chris. So next time, tell me your good ideas prior to me talking to Canon.
There you go. Boy, you fit right in there, Barry. Thanks.
So Canon was listening, just not to me. All I wanted was the intervalometer and extended auto exposure bracketing range. That's all. I mean, I'm not asking for much.
And you got it.
I will say that with the 4S, with the iPhone 4S and the camera capabilities, I really dig the whole geotagging thing, and I think it. And like my friend Joseph Lenashke at Aperture Expert, he's been grousing for years that Canon doesn't believe in geotagging and hasn't put it on, and I think it's silly.
Well, you know, there is an app that will do that for you, Chris, that I have written up on planet5d.com.
I think the problem with that, though, is that app has to be running the whole time.
No.
And I know of this app, unless it's different than the one that I've heard about.
It's called GPS for Cam.
Right. And then what ends up happening is your phone's going to go into sleep, and then the app stops working. And with that thing running, you're going to kill the battery in your phone in about 2 hours.
I used it on my vacation for this summer, and it worked like a charm, and it does not run down your battery. You do not have to have it. It works in the background while your phone is asleep.
Cool.
And it
wrong.
works like a charm, and it's $2.
What does it do? Just run continuously?
It takes a GPS snapshot, whatever time. I mean, it has multiple time frames. You can say 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 seconds. So there are options you can make, and obviously every 30 seconds is going to take more battery than if you say every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I let it run for 3 days, and it didn't chew up my battery on my phone.
What was the interval you had it set for?
I think I had it set for 5 minutes.
So it's just pinging once every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it just goes out, and it's a little bit of a pain because you have to actually, it puts a QR code up on your screen. You have to take a picture of that, and then you have to download that to your computer. So it's a little minor pain, but it's well worth it if for $2 or $4 or whatever it is. It's cheap.
Yeah, I could tell you when I went to Chile, and we were constantly on the go down there. I don't know that I would have bothered with that. It would have been a hassle. I would have just liked to have it built into the camera and let it go.
I agree. But in terms of a hassle, Carl, you turn it on when you leave the house. I mean, I physically turned it on when I left the house, and I turned it off when I got home a week and a half later. And the processing takes a little while.
But you had to take a picture of the QR code, right?
After I got home, I had to take a picture of the QR code.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you had to take it. Okay, never mind.
No, it just runs in the background, and it just keeps track of you, and it doesn't chew up that much battery. And when you get home, my vacation was actually 8 QR codes, okay? So because there was so much data.
It must have been that was a really good vacation to be 8 QR codes, yeah. Okay.
But you just simply take a picture of those QR codes, you run their software, which they give you for free, point it at the thing, and a half hour later you've got GPS location data on all your photos.
All right, I'll check it out.
It's called GPS for Cam.
Does it do multi-exposures? Oh, no.
So why can't we get 1080p at 48 on the 5D Mark III? That's an interesting question. We don't hear much about 48.
Because New Zealand was not involved in designing this film, this camera. Thank you for getting that reference.
Yeah, I think The Hobbit was got a patent on that. So.
Somebody says Philip Bloom said we'll know about the Z Finder. I guess the Z Finder.
No, someone had asked if the Z Finder would work because the display is smaller. That was the question that was asked.
The display is bigger.
I thought it was bigger.
It is. It's 3.2 inch LCD monitor in the back.
Right.
And what was the old one?
3. The old one was 3 inches. So the Z Finder fitting is for a 3-inch LCD, and the new one's 3.2. I mean, the current Z Finder, if you use it with the attachment, not with the sticky frame, it's just going to miss part of the viewfinder, I would think, right? I mean, it's not going to do full coverage on the viewfinder. I mean, on the LCD.
It depends on how much over tolerance is currently built into the Z Finder.
Yeah, the Lettuce Hawk is exactly 3 inches. I mean, it doesn't stick over the side because you got those buttons on the left side, and so you didn't want the thing sticking over the side of the buttons over here. So they had to make it fit exactly over the LCD, and therefore the Z Finder is going to be smaller than the LCD, but it should fit. I don't know why it wouldn't fit. I don't have one, so I don't know.
Look what I have.
The Z Finder.
No.
Let me make you big.
3 inches. Not quite 3 inches.
But you got to remember it's a diagonal measurement on the LCD.
Yeah, Homer.
Hang on.
Like a TV.
Again, see how much my fine motor skills are. Can you guys see that? Because I can't read it when I'm looking this way. So it's about 3 1/4, a little over 3 1/4 from corner to corner. So it might be close. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, but that's the inside dimension, and then it has to snap over the ring, and the ring is considerably smaller. Measure the inside of the ring.
The inside measurement.
No, not the inside of the gizmo, the inside of the ring that it snaps onto.
But not all of the Z Finders have
this.
this.
Well, here. What do you want me to measure? Tell me which one you want me to measure. The ring?
You're not going to figure this out. Come on.
Barry thinks he has with a ruler he can measure how tall his hair gets. 5 inches.
So
you're going to give Brian Grazer a run for his money.
Chris is just jealous because he has to use a micrometer.
I'm totally jealous.
The inside of the bracket that glues onto the back is, I think, if my measurements are right, is exactly 3 inches. So if you put the bracket on the back of the new one, they might come out with a different bracket, and this then might work. So that'll be the question. You probably need a different bracket, is my guess.
Well, but
but
the new Z Finder doesn't have a bracket, right? It doesn't have the snap-on thing. You attach it attaches to the plate on the bottom.
They still sell the snappy ring though.
No, they do, yes, but some of the Z Finders.
No. You don't want that though. You put the bracket on and then it offsets it differently. You don't want that extra spacer in there.
Well, but that's the way they sell them now, man.
Yeah, because
they sell them both ways.
But that works well with their system. But if you're trying to mix it with a different system, that extra bracket thing throws off the height of your camera. So it works if you own all Zacuto, but if you're owning different ones, then you need the snap-on one. So
Zacuto is a wonderful sponsor of Planet 5D, and we should go buy a bunch of Z Finders through the links on planet5d.com.
I own one. I didn't say that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that you have to be aware that you probably need the bracket that goes underneath, and you need the snap-on for the back, depending on what you're working with.
Do you remember snap-on tools?
I do.
Yeah.
All right. Question in the chat room from Dave Dugdale: is Carl going to NAB?
I'm still toying with the idea. I haven't made a decision yet.
Come on, Carl, you can do it.
I'd like to. It's just been a very busy schedule of late.
What
I'll see.
When is it?
April 14th is the Sunday. Whatever the Sunday is, right around April 14th. I think it's either 14th
Tax
or
day,
the 15th. The question CBK asks is, what is the cost to attend NAB? Well, if you go to the exhibit only, it costs you nothing, which is the only thing I've ever done other than airfare, hotel, food, drink, dollars for the strippers, poker, all that stuff. Not that I see any strippers. Hi, girls. My girls are home. It is getting punchy.
Wow.
We must be approaching happy hour.
So
that must be the new video on YouTube going around. Awkward. Daughters walk in on father.
talking about strippers, yes. So you can get free admission to the exhibit area. All of the vendors have coupon codes. What's the battery life of the new 5D3? That's a good question, too. It's the same battery as the 5D Mark II, so you don't have to buy new batteries. And there was no mention of battery life, but I'm going to assume it's the same.
Their press did say that it's improved.
Does it?
Now, they don't quantify it, but it is improved battery life, even using the same battery type.
I missed that.
Yeah.
All right. I think what we ought to do is call it quits, because we've been at it for 2 hours and 15 minutes now. What do you think?
And there's still people in the chat room.
Yes.
So apparently we didn't fail.
Well, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. We lost Chris.
Did we?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, and I
Did I miss anything?
Yes. We talked about hair restoration while you were gone.
Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah. I'm not sure anyone out there can handle another session of us together. So this might be the early retirement from the four of us.
Yeah, men of a certain age.
So we will be sharing this audio version. I don't know whether you want the video version, Carl, or not. If you want to post it on the Digital Convergence podcast website or DFilm TV.
Yeah, I'll post it out there. Yeah.
So everybody knows that we can find Chris at chrisfenwick.com, and Carl Olson is digitalfilm.tv.
Correct.
And Barry's book is available. Here's Barry's book. It's available on Amazon. And if you go to planet5d.com/Barry, Barry, you can buy Barry's book. But do you have a website, Barry?
I do. It's being worked on, so it's currently not in good shape.
I have a question for Barry. Is he going to
yeah.
come out with an iBook version now that iAuthor is out?
Well, I've talked to the publisher. There are all the digital versions up to the iBook, but I don't know if they've done that. I know you can buy the Kindle and everything else, but I don't know if it's been ported to the new software.
Okay.
Knowing it's a publisher, probably not, but we'll see.
Ouch.
So I want to thank everybody that came into the chat room. I appreciate everybody's attendance today. I'm sorry I didn't get to say that to everybody, because half the people are bailing out now. They start to see that we've been here too long, and they're checking out. So keep an eye on planet5d.com and the Digital Film TV podcast, and we'll see all of you guys later.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mitch. Appreciate you having us come together. Good to meet everyone. And I really appreciate all the good questions that were out there today, too.
And Harriet for gathering all the questions in the chat room. Thank you, bud.
Yeah.